Why did you want the role so much?
I have been a fan of the fantasy genre since I was a boy. I played the Witcher games. I played The Witcher 3 through twice. Then this is the kind of thing I do. This is the kind of thing I do in my free time. So the opportunity to work on this for real and make it my job as well, get paid for doing my hobby stuff, was ideal. And I just wanted to make sure that Geralt was represented as accurately as possible.
Towards the end of last year, Witcher fans got a huge shock, and that was Henry Cavill exiting the Witcher Netflix series. And obviously the announcement that followed was that Liam Hemsworth was going to be taking over the role in season 4. And then a couple of months later, The Witcher Blood Origin came out, an origin story for the franchise that Netflix completely made up. None of the lore makes any sense. The show is an abomination in just a multitude of ways. I talked extensively about that in December, but yeah, the show was received horribly from audiences and critics. It's baffling that this is something that was approved by Netflix's writers and the people that were in charge of the show, but it happened. And it just further made people realize why Henry Cavill was ultimately exiting this show. And it was that it wasn't being faithful. That is something that is strong to Henry Cavill's identity. And it's actually interesting because if you go on Henry Cavill's social media, he recently starred in a production with, I believe it was Guy Ritchie, and he's just gushing about his experience on set. And that's something that you haven't heard from Cavill with The Witcher. And that's because him and the showrunner Lauren Hissrich on numerous occasions have been going at it at a head. And obviously I imagine we're just about to start with the season 3 press tour. Cavill's going to be nice. He's going to come out and say all the nice things you're expecting him to say, because he's not going to make this a big public fight. But it's quite clear behind the scenes there was a lot of animosity between the two, which is why he's gone and he's going to go do some other things. And it stinks because he is the walking Witcher encyclopedia, as his stars or co-stars said about him. And now he is gone, and now Netflix is trying to salvage the situation and hoping that people stick around for season 4. And this was actually a recent article which went viral. The Witcher showrunner Lauren Hissrich found Henry Cavill really annoying due to his over-enthusiasm to play Geralt. And as some of you might remember, this is another big thing that happened in December. Anonymous leaks from the show which pointed to him being the problem and not the writers, which is interesting because actually a couple of months before that, we got news from a former producer on the show that the Netflix Witcher writers do not care about the source material. They actively mock it. And this just, all of this comes together to give us a great picture of why Henry Cavill no longer wants to be a part of this production and why he wants to spend his time possibly on other big things like Warhammer 40k. And ultimately, a lot of the fans of this show were only watching because of Henry Cavill, and that's why many rallied on certain petitions. I think one reached over 305,000 signatures of those wanting the Witcher Netflix writers to be fired and having Cavill to have a more creative role with the show. Obviously, that's not something that's going to happen, but it does show the, let's call it the lacking enthusiasm that people have for Lauren Hissrich and her writing team. Again, Cavill was committed to adapting all of Sapkowski's books under one condition: they stay faithful to the books, something Lauren Hissrich promised viewers and Cavill since day one. That though did not happen, and because of that, they had very public disagreements on set over the direction of the show and his character. He made his disdain over changes made to the lore known during the press tour of the first and second season, and it's even been reported that he considered leaving after season 2 because of his unhappiness with how things were going. Now though, finally he soon will move on. But not before one last hoorah as Geralt of Rivia. Now, there has been some recent updates. This is the big one. This is, well, we're gonna have a trailer sometime today, but we got this teaser image which is hysterical because again, it just shows the issues with the last season of the show and the fact that, again, the show is not following any of the source material and things don't make any fucking sense. We have this picture of Geralt holding Ciri, and then we have Yennefer holding him from behind. And you know why this is funny? Because Yennefer last season was trying to kill Ciri because of a made-up villain put her in charge to do it to get her magic back. It's nonsensical shit like this that makes people so upset about this adaptation. What's even worse is the fact that Netflix is still advertising on their app that this is a faithful adaptation. It's anything but that. There's just, I've talked about this in previous videos, there's like long essays of all the small and some major details with this show that have changed completely from Andrzej Sapkowski's vision. But if you do go under the tweet, tweet and look at some of the responses, it's actually, this is how a lot of people feel about this next season of The Witcher. Yes, the final season. This will be the last season for me. Can't believe it's the final season already. Hopefully it ends on a high note. It's probably best not to start watching it this week if you're going to watch it. It will only encourage them to make another season. The final season can't wait. I'm so sorry The Witcher was canceled, and you kind of get the gist of this. A lot of people plan to exit this series after Henry Cavill's final episodes during season 3, because to be fair, he was the reason why people were watching. The writing has always been very mediocre, but last season it was really hard to watch some of these episodes. Also, the CGI it's been borderline, especially during Blood Origin. They went to that Dollar Tree budget to make some of these monsters. But we did have some other responses under Lauren Hissrich's own tease of this. It's a lot of people just, again, going after her because of the direction that she's made with the show. You ruin the show with your fan fiction. How hard is it to stick to the source material? You and the writers only have yourselves to blame for driving out Henry and the mess of a state the show has gone into. I promise, but season 3 will be my last one. Just hope Cavill will really have his hands free for Warhammer 40k. And that's, again, the gist of it. A lot of people just extremely unhappy with the state of The Witcher on Netflix, and a lot of people ultimately just hoping that everything gets wrapped up soon enough. But it looks like Netflix still has plans for spin-offs and such. We'll see if that changes, especially during season 4 when Cavill is no longer a part of this production. But his eyes now turn to this upcoming Witcher season 3, the final for Henry Cavill. We have gotten some updates from insiders the last couple of weeks which indicate that the issues that happened during season 2, the deviation from the source material, is only going to continue. And for some reason, the sources, the people that are involved in the production of the show, are making this stuff out to be like it's a good thing. It's a good thing they're pivoting away what people actually want to see. You know, Sapkowski's writing, what Sapkowski created. Screen Rant cites a source saying that they're doing their best to honor the vision of Sapkowski, but also the creative team has exciting opportunities to expand in the lore of the source material. There is a clear desire for the screen adaptations of the spin-off shows and stories to have their own identity, which makes sense given the unique opportunities afforded by any different storytelling format. In fact, some of the biggest new addition to Sapkowski's lore may be introduced towards the end of the 3rd season, so audiences will have to be extra patient to find out what's in store. The problem I have with that last sentence, Sapkowski's lore, that's not Sapkowski's lore, that is the Witcher Netflix writers. Sapkowski has been pretty open about him not giving a shit about this show. And actually, if you really want more evidence of that, he recently did an interview during the Taipei International Book Exhibition back in February, and he was asked about his opinion on the Netflix adaptation, and he said, "I've seen better, I've seen worse." The guy just doesn't care. He's collecting that paycheck, and I don't blame him. And he's done some other interviews, I think we talked about that towards the end of last year as well, in which it was pretty much like, yeah, my name's on the credits, that's about it. Although I do think that is kind of important to bring up because Lauren Hissrich, again, the showrunner of this Witcher Netflix series, on her Instagram responded to people saying that Sapkowski's like very happy about this show. He's congratulating her. It definitely doesn't sound like that based on what he's telling, people publicly. But furthermore, that is not the only thing that is happening with this upcoming Witcher Season 3 departure from the source material, because some of the Witcher producers were saying in public interviews how they're excited for never seen or read before changes. Yes, The Witcher's VFX supervisor and producers spoke to Screen Rant about Blood Origin Season 3 and beyond. And this is what they said. We're in the throes of delivering the final couple of episodes in Season 3, and it's super cool. I don't think it's anything that anyone's read or seen before in Witcher lore, so I think it's going to be exciting. It's horrifying news to me, but not surprising. Still, though, it is worth mentioning that months ago, Lauren Hissrich said about Season 3 that it was the closest to a one-to-one adaptation, and now you have people on the production staff of the show saying, no, we're going to be doing a bunch of new and random stuff. So yeah, definitely seems like, once again, Lauren Hissrich trying to appease the mass fan base with misleading remarks, which is, again, nothing new. Bold move, though, in my eyes, to just straight up lie to people, especially this consistently. We're working on some pretty tasty stuff for the next season. We're at the point where we're showing the creative team now, and they're being wowed by the stuff we're showing them, so that's cool. We have pretty short sequence with a nice creature, but we have a longer one with a big creature. Also, that's cool. During the same interview, they discussed the creative license of VFX artists and the balance of staying true to the source material. We were referencing pretty much one for one some of the magic, and they were like, no, we can't. We don't want to go down that road. I think there's a lot of fans of one or the other, and you don't upset one without doing something that the other likes. And I think they're insinuating that people actually, care for the Witcher Netflix writers, their own taste, their own opinions, their own changes to the lore versus, what's been established by Sapkowski. I don't think that's an actual thing. I don't think there is that contingent of fans, maybe 10 of them versus, the 95% of the others, but okay. Speaking of the creative team, the producers commented on their dedication to the lore of The Witcher. They were very careful about keeping it true to the lore, true to the realm, true to The Witcher, but their comments before kind of go away from that. Conflicting here. And one of the producers says that it's like the novels are the guidebook, but not the Bible by any means. I feel like this is where they're separate from the video game or separate from the books, is kind of allowing them to explore other storylines in other places and things like that. And he goes on to add that he thinks that this is different from The Last of Us, in which it's like a straight adaptation of the video game, because with this, he thinks there's a lot of creative license to stay similar and true to certain parts and enable them to explore different parts as well. And that's a interesting thing to say, because the promise that we got from Lauren Hisrich before season 1 even started for The Witcher was that it's the opposite of that she was going to stay true to the source material, was going to be faithful, but instead what we've seen her say in recent, like the last year or so, is no, we're just sticking to the vision of the books, which I don't even know what that means. It sounds like their way of excusing the changes that they're making because they're unhappy with Sapkowski and what he wrote down. And that goes again with what the former producer on the show has said about them mocking and openly disliking the source material in the books and the lore that's been established. But if you are curious about if season 4 is going to be the last for The Witcher with Liam Hemsworth, it looks like that may actually be the case. Redanian Intelligence reported earlier this year that Netflix has officially renewed the series for season 4 with Liam Hemsworth with no word of a season 5. And they have said that they checked with their sources. Season 4 and season 5 are still very much the plan as of January 2023. And they said season 4 is still in pretty early stages of development as they're writing it, and it's going to take most of 2023 to get that all together. And I'm of the assumption that this is going to be very contingent on how the show does during season 4 in terms of viewership. That's what I mean, and also probably critic reviews, because Netflix does somewhat look at that. And Redanian Intelligence reports we didn't get a straight answer on the question if this season 5 will be the last one, so it's very much up in the air at the moment. But it definitely sounds like if there's a huge drop, Netflix may be pulling the plug, and I don't blame them because they wanted this to be their next huge franchise, and it just doesn't look like it's going to be that. This show is being held together by Henry Cavill, and now, I mean, you're seeing it from a lot of fans. They're just saying, this is it for us. We're going to watch these next couple episodes with Cavill, and we know it's probably not going to be that great, but still, we get to see Henry Cavill play Geralt of Rivia, and he's done a great job in that role. But one of the big things that season 3 will be tackling is the fractured relationship of Yennefer and Geralt. And again, this just points to the issues with this upcoming season. It just sounds so bad because Redanian Intelligence, apparently they got the word on how this is going to go down. So you know how, Yennefer was about to kill Ciri during season 2, which makes no sense being that Yennefer and Ciri have like a mother-daughter relationship in the books, but Netflix kind of ruined that. The Redanian Intelligence reports that pretty much 1 or 2 episodes, everything's good to go during season 3. Instead of spending a good amount of time mentoring Ciri at the Temple of, I can't say that, and building a mother-daughter relationship, as I pointed out with her, Yennefer was written to be manipulated by the ancient entity Volith Mare and to fully intend to trade Ciri's life for getting her powers back, only to regret and revert that in the last moment. It was just so bad. Character assassination. Needless to say, Geralt, Ciri, as well as many readers weren't happy at the end of it all. Yeah, I'd say. And during season 3, Geralt and Rivia's relationship status will be a mini arc in the earliest episodes. As far as we know, it will start by Geralt entirely refusing to talk to Yennefer, which prompts her to pass written notes to him, calling him friend, throughout the mini arc that spans either 1 or 2 first episodes, Geralt will slowly be warming up to Yennefer with various little moments helping him trust the sorceress more and more. At one point, he starts talking to Yen again. And at the culmination of the mini-arc, which could be one fucking episode, Geralt gives a full letter to Yennefer, a reply to her dear friend notes. In it, he writes Yen that he can now entrust her with taking care of Ciri, without the fear of betrayal. After that, they part ways. This is the horrible writing. This is why follow Sapkowski. Do not put your own influence on the story, because now Netflix has an absolute disaster on their hands, and they set this up for themselves. They set themselves up for failure. Anyway, in the coming hours, maybe it already has premiered, but The Witcher Season 3 trailer will be out. We'll see how the reactions are, but right now the consensus is that for a lot of fans, this is it. They're not planning to watch further, and I can't blame them. Going from Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth is quite the downgrade. Nothing against Liam Hemsworth. He's a decent actor, but just not on the level of Henry Cavill, and who has really taken over this role as Geralt of Rivia. And it's just unfortunate that it has been wasted with some really bad writing. And I've been saying it for quite some time. Lauren Hisrich was just not a good fit. I think that she should have been fired a while ago along with her writing team. I think that she has done some great work in the past, nothing against her, but just wasn't a good fit. And I think a Polish team probably would have been better, and also, hiring some actual Polish actors for this franchise. But anyway, what do you make of The Witcher Season 3? Will you be tuning in? What do you make of all the chaos surrounding this show? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also, check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games and TV and other pieces of entertainment. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.